Good morning, comrades. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. Welcome to the very first video of 2022 already. And just like announced yesterday and like we did last year, we are going to our very first lap of the Nürburgring Nordschleife on foot. Unlike last year, the track is not covered in snow, so I'm excited to be sharing some facts and insights about the track, because now you can actually see the outline of the track, unlike last year when it was covered in snow. So I'm excited to do it. But first of all, I actually missed my New Year's resolution by being, well, less procrastinating, be more efficient. So it's already 1:30 and the sun sets down in 3 hours, so I will only do half a lap and I'll do another half a lap tomorrow. But speaking of New Year's resolutions, here is something that I would like to share with you. So last year on the 1st of January 2021, I woke up here on my couch quite hangover, and you might be thinking like, well, after New Year's celebration there is nothing wrong with that. But to be honest, this scenario was going on for weeks already. I was getting into quite a winter depression due to lockdowns and all kinds of stuff. And luckily, for some reason, on the 1st of January, I decided, you know what, let's make a change. Let's go for a walk. And this is what I did. And eventually you saw the video of me walking on the track. And eventually, by changing this, like, the depressed lifestyle bit by bit, by going for a walk, starting to exercise, and eventually becoming completely addict by going to a gym, I managed to turn around my lifestyle completely in my life for the better. Now this year, however, as mentioned, I wanted to procrastinate less, to be more efficient, and unlike last year, a completely opposite thing happened. I slept till 11, and then eventually, of course, I also still got to the track and did something. The reason why I'm bringing this up, however, is maybe you are in the same position. Maybe you are thinking like, you know what, I'm going to change my life, maybe I'm gonna start going to the gym. But instead, maybe the gym is closed on the 1st of January. Maybe you're thinking, I'm going to go for a walk, maybe, but you have bad weather. Maybe you wanted to do something else, and you were coming up with all kinds of excuses, and eventually you're going to be thinking like, what's going to be so different? I will do it maybe tomorrow. And tomorrow maybe never going to come. So I want to reach out to some of you guys who want to change their life for the better. And this is completely not my type of video, but I think we should definitely start the year on a positive note and also motivate each other for a bit. So if you wanted to change something, let me motivate you. Since you're maybe laying like hangover or lazy on the couch because it's 1st of January anyway, and you're watching this video, might as well do something productive. So let's go together. Am I really doing this? Yes. Let's go together on the floor and maybe just try to do one single push-up, because maybe that's already going to be more than you would have done in the last couple of years, in last week or whatever. And when you've done that, you should feel quite better about yourself. You can pause this video and do a lot more, or just continue watching it. But hopefully this will contribute to you to get out of this pattern of the winter depression that I had and maybe you are having. So yeah, okay, proceed to the track content, because this is definitely not fitness content. Woo! Can I do all four? We can. Woohoo! All right. Enjoy the rest of the track walk. Right, before we proceed, a very important disclaimer. You can see it here. No safety, safety zone, no passages, business premises do not go on there. So officially it's a private property. But I asked the Nürburgring, could I go for a lap to make like a video like I did last year? And they said yes, of course, if you say the important rules. So yes, although some people sometimes when the track is closed in the winter walk there or mountain bike there, you should not be doing it. And especially do not take any dogs with you, because they can make a mess, and well, they asked me not to do it and we comply with the rules. So simply that. So I have at this point official permission. Some people do not do it with official permission, and if you get hurt by doing it without official permission, don't cry, because you were trespassing. That's all I have to say. Right, let's climb over the barrier, and we are now at Sabine Schmidt's corner. Yeah, Sabine Schmidt's curve, which has been inaugurated on 11th of September earlier this year. And let's proceed to move on to the rest of the track. A quick fast forward already as we descend down towards Hatzenbach, and over there we see a 2-kilometer sign that you can use as a reference point when you are driving the track. And I have to say that when we're here on foot, it's completely different way of looking at things. It actually looks a lot more narrower for some reason that I'm actually used to, but you can see how narrow the track is, and you can see also the elevation changes. Of course, you probably cannot see it well on camera, but you can definitely see it when you walk on foot, and you will definitely notice it when you will start climbing again once you are in Breitscheid to go to the second part. So you aim for the 2 kilometer sign. We can actually even see there's a nice dot over here next to it here, so which is used by BMW driving experiences and other driving schools, and they basically say this is your apex point or a turning point, which is also pretty much identical to the 2 kilometer sign, that you can start moving towards the right curbstone. Now, however, when it is wet like it is now, you have all the rubber accumulated on the right side, so here you should stay completely on the outside. You can also see another like cheating, or like, what's it called, not cheating point, but like reference point that you can use for the wet driving. You see lots of graffiti, again, just like walking on the track. You should not be putting any graffiti on the track, because you can also close the track when you have to clean it up if there's too much graffiti of it. But when you do wet driving, you can see that the parts that are clear, that's where the cars are usually driving, so they scrub graffiti off and lay also a layer of rubber. But where they're not driving, there you don't have any rubber, so in the wet days you can actually go over these parts by avoiding the graffiti. You know that this should be grippier than the inside of the corner, so aim for the parts where the cars would usually not be driving, and then you proceed to the outside and go further down towards the first hard braking zone in Hatzenbach. Here, by the way, we have the extra runoff area, and sometimes you can use a bit of a grass as well if you are really going for it. But yeah, only like what, half a meter extra. But on top we can actually see the elevation change. We're, by the way, facing now the opposite direction of the track. Interesting thing here is that some barriers are clean, so I guess they have been replaced due to an incident, and we can actually predict that this is exactly what happened. Someone was going, again, we're facing the opposite direction of the track, someone was following the dry line, spun out in a barrier, so this had to be replaced. And also we can see here the barrier is completely dirty and it starts being clean again over there afterwards. So I guess this is what happened. You can also see some debris, some plastic, some car parts. We can probably maybe even find a headlight, tail light. No, but probably we can find somewhere. Oh well, here plenty of actually still glass, and actually old school glass, so it's an old light. I should let Nürburgring know to clean this up just in case, because you might never know. Yeah, Nürburgring crime scene investigation. We got our title for the thumbnail, I guess. Yeet. And here also some tail lights. I wonder if we can predict what type of car it was. Could almost say like a Porsche Boxster Cayman-ish or something, but who knows, maybe some of you knows who had an incident here last year. All right, let's move on to the first braking zone. Some patches of tarmac that have been restored over the course of the years. Small details that you can only notice when you're walking the track. In any case, very important section, because you have a double braking zone. What does this mean? You end up on the right side, full on the brakes, and then let go to steer in towards the left curbstone over there. And after that, if you are going fast enough, you actually should brake again, and then obviously let go and steer in. So what usually happens, it's unfortunately when people don't know that it's a chicane, so they either brake and they think like, okay, I'm fine, and then they actually end up in the tire wall on the left because they don't brake again. So very important section of the track, and like the rest of the track, also very tricky in the wet, because here you have all the rubber on the braking zone that accumulates during the dry days, so you actually should stay off it, brake here, and then you end up here, where's all the rubber of in the cornering zone from the dry days. So you should actually brake, go to the outside, and then kind of zigzag along it. So that's why, well, use the graffiti as a reference point. Love the technicalities. You can see also lots of camber change, and as well tarmac change. So very technical, very special, and love this section. And again, this whole section from the Sabine Schmitz curve is called Hatzenbach. So it has so many potentials to rename this corner if it would be necessary, like if they need to give someone some corner extra name. I think this section would be very good, because again, it has like what, 6-7 corners that are still all Hatzenbach. Very important section here. The difference, you can see that's actually being used by people, by cars, by industry pool, by lap record attempts, by race cars. You can go actually on the curb and grab that extra portion of grip. Moritz told me that sometimes you can even like go onto here in the wet days and kind of use this as a clinching point to have a bit, well, more grip in the wet. The only thing you need to watch out for when you get off the curb, you will unsettle the car and you will drop off. But what I want to say is that with the recent sim racing games, especially Assetto Corsa, I think iRacing has it. I haven't played iRacing for a while to actually remember it, but Assetto Corsa doesn't have this curb and you just end up going on the grass. And also this barrier has been moved a few years ago closer to it when they installed the FIA fencing over there. I'm sure if we look into some of these things, hello, I'm sure we can find some car parts inside, but maybe that's a activity for another time. Well, you can even find lots of car parts on the outside. Again, someone who went too fast through the chicane. At this rate, we're only like at the second kilometer of the track, and I can already like make probably the whole video based on this section alone. We haven't even made it to the rest. Right, as we're walking down here, interesting, maybe a parking spot. Why is there like such a lonely piece of tarmac standing here? Because maybe in the past this was an actual safety zone where you could park up your car. Again, Nürburgring has actually also 3 old spectator zones where in the past you could actually park up, get your picnic lunch, enjoy the view, the atmosphere, and then drive on if you wanted to. But as the years passed, they had closed them down or just make them as not a picnic zone anymore, but just as a safety zone. But we will definitely see one later once we approach Schwedenkreuz. So we're coming from there towards Hatzenbach. A very important curbstone for lap times, because to get the ideal entry point over there, to be at that curbstone, to avoid having too much of a turn in, you can actually really cut a lot of track here, so you have a more direct entrance to the curb, a better position for the corner entry towards there. Now, this curb, again, when we talk about sim racing games, especially Assetto Corsa, is extremely high, would unsettle the car unless you would really set it up properly for the track with all the suspension settings, with the compression and rebound to not destroy it too much. Yeah, otherwise you should definitely avoid it in sims, but in real life, if you know what you're doing and if your car is also set up for the track, you should definitely take it to have a better entry point towards the next corner, and then you go to the outside and proceed. Again, very interesting and tricky section, because we can see now here what you would probably not see from inside the car when you're driving at speeds around 100 plus kilometers per hour, is that you have 2 different sorts of tarmac, because for some reason Nürburgring decided a few years ago, you know what, we just replace this section. So this is kind of grippy, this is not, because it's older. So it is grippy, but then it's also not grippy anymore, because all the cars in the dry days are driving over it. So I would recommend to staying on the outside, especially you can see it by the graffiti. This part is more like more new, so shout out to AMG. Yeah, stay on the outside and then proceed with the rest of the track. Whether it's wet or because you forget to brake in time to turn in, or you're going too fast, as you can see, this section is prone to understeering. So instead of taking the corner, sometimes you just end up going straight into the wall. So be extra cautious here. And again, this first section of the track is very much about agility. So small hot hatches can easily keep up with a lot faster cars like GT3 RS, etc. Of course, if the of course the GT3 RS is not driven by Kevin Astray or anything, but you get what I mean. Horsepower is not as important here because it's more about agility, and the track is going downhill most of its trajectory anyway. So yeah, and then optionally you can go on the curbstone over here until you go towards Hocheichen. And Hocheichen, just like the rest of Hatzenbach, and actually just like the rest of the whole track, very tricky section when it comes to if you drive it in the wet, because here you have a relatively hard braking zone in the dry on the left side completely, and a pretty late turning point. I would almost say that this dot, which shows you the entry point, again, look out for the dots because they're being used by driving academies to show you the entry point. Maybe because I'm on foot, it looks kind of early, because sometimes I would turn in slightly later, or at least like still be on trail braking here before proceeding to the right and taking the right curbstone. But the thing here is that, again, it's also very slippery and it's very tight, and it's also blind chicane to the left from here on. If you're driving it in the wet, you should avoid the dry braking zone, brake on the right side, and go straight to the barrier. Because again, very slippery, graffiti, not slippery. And this is a very unpleasant experience, but you just have to have faith and go close to the outside, because here in the wet, you would have all the grip, and then you proceed to the right side, and once you're on the right side you can go flat on the gas towards Quidderbacher. So here you have the curbstone that you would be on in the dry days, and then you already need to go on the throttle quite early if you know the ideal trajectory, so you can have high exit speed from here, from Hocheichen towards Quidderbacher, and that's how you gain good lap time. Again, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that after a very tight left-hander, you have here another tight left-hander. Yes, wait, am I saying correctly? After a tight right-hander, because I'm looking at it in the mirror, you have another tight left-hander. And especially also on top, you can see that there's like a big camber difference. So yeah, if you're like, ooh, there's another corner I did not expect, and you have additional like camber, that can unsettle the car quite a lot. And you can actually see that yeah, there are quite some new barriers on these sections, especially here, because yeah, those are one of the unexpected parts. Well, I realized that I have already like enough material to film one video for YouTube standards, and unfortunately I'm gonna say goodbye here now and proceed with making the rest of the lap for tomorrow's video, because it's winter content and I'll be also going to Croatia soon, so I need to really like gather content. So yeah, I hope you understand, and also I know a lot of people don't want to watch too longer of the videos. I know many of you do, so I start talking nonsense. I see you guys in tomorrow's video, where we will proceed from Hocheichen here to Quidderbacher, Foxhole, and then eventually end up in Adenau. So thanks for watching, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoyed this first section, track section of our track walk, and yeah, one more time, Happy New Year. Bye bye.